There. Hopefully that should be better. I made the mistake of checking that my microphone was on by pressing the power button, and the power button doubles up as a mute button. Oh dear, that is a sign of the things to come on tonight's stream. Good evening and welcome. Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews now too. It is Saturday the 1st of August 2026, and happy autumn evening, summer's night thing to you all, and thanks for joining us. It's all good. He's getting old, lol. I am. We are getting older. Unfortunately, it is a necessity of the ticking hands of time. Looks like we're all good. David Under says no, it's worse. Bless your heart. Still no sound and some targeting on the video. Yeah, that was the autofocus. Hello, Dave. Hello, Viale. Hello, the other Dave. Senrav, Noodles, David Underhill, Raleigh, Senrav, etc. Oh, we had income already. Oh yeah, of course, it's on the screen, isn't it? That was my bad. Thank you to Rick H. Says something for the channel. Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. I'm losing my faculties. It's been a rough week.
Really close. I can hardly get my thumb in.
Yeah, it's actually, I didn't notice that the table has shifted over. There we go. Yes, it's been a rough week here. Oh dear. The tribulations and the trials that have been going on here this week have been phenomenal. I will bore you with it. Just while we wait for some more people to join us in the chat. And hello, Welly Bob. Nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, this week has been a nightmare. Many broken sleep nights. Something which we hadn't realised happened. Our cat flap was actually broken in terms of it's a magnetic one, and normally a magnet passes over the outside bit. It lifts up a latch and that allows the flap to open for our cats to get in. But we hadn't really realised that that was broken because the cats have just been coming in and out as normal. Over a couple of weeks now, probably months actually, there's this grey cat which lives nearby us somewhere, and it's quite an aggressive large cat. I believe it's a Siamese cat. It looks angry, evil, but it has been breaking into the Mub residence nightly and stealing food, and worst of all, attacking our cats in their own homes, which, for anyone who is a cat owner, you will know what the sound of cats fighting late at night does to your psyche. It's not great. It's a terrible, awful noise, and
when they can't get a grip on the laminate.
As a kind of a furry friend owner, I also feel obviously a responsibility towards my animals. So as soon as you hear it, it's like rush down the stairs, try and separate whatever's going on, get rid of whatever is happening. And it was happening at kind of like stupid times, like midnight, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, like all kinds of, quite often as well, yeah, like when the sun is starting to come up, so like 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So recently I've been kind of going to sleep with one ear still kind of listening out for it. I've actually bought a new cat flap, which has also introduced more problems because the cats aren't used to the magnet thing now, because they relied on it just swinging open back and forward. So now the cats are kind of banging at the cat flap or scratching at it, trying to get in. So when they can't get in, I'm a bit concerned that they might be under duress or being attacked. So I still have to get up, come down and open the door to let them in. So the last few days have been like very weird broken sleep, like having a child again. I'm not used to it. At my age, it's not easy. So
You never got away with that with the children.
I didn't really. The cats are worse than children, to be fair. We got 6 cats, so yes. Anyway, so yes, it's it's not been much fun. On top of that, there have been some tribulations to deal with on the video making front as well. Some of which happened yesterday. MSI, God bless them, actually sent over a little bit of a kind of a review package for the kind of, in brackets, the ultimate desktop setup. and sent over their latest and greatest gas monitor mount. That's what I was looking for, a monitor mount. So you've got this new monitor mount, which is the MT201R, and also the MT201R V2. The V1 and the V2 are exactly the same, it's just regional differences on packaging, bizarrely. So yeah, you can check that out. The video has been uploaded, so that'll be going out to patrons and members very shortly. A very interesting new monitor mount. In fact, so much so that I had to make a video on it because I've never seen one that does what it does. It's got some new and very, I think, unique features. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You can see it when the video comes out. But yeah, it's a very interesting monitor arm. And of course, to go with that, MSI sent over one of their latest and greatest QD OLED monitors. I'm not too sure the exact model number because it's still back in the box. But it's a very nice QD OLED monitor. 27 inches, 1440p, 480 FPS or frequency refresh rate, multiple modes, etc. 1080p or 1440p, blah blah blah, all that kind of usual stuff. Really good monitor, really nice monitor. Although it has a glass front, which I find to be extremely highly reflective, so trying to film it was actually quite difficult. But what made it worse was I was using the monitor to show off the capabilities of the monitor arm. Obviously, makes sense. MSI monitor arm, perfect harmony. You'd think. There was an unfortunate slight oversight on the MSI monitor, which isn't cheap. Whereas if you take off the VESA mounting bracket on the back and replace it with another one, especially if you're using screws and washers, there's a slit, probably about 12 mil wide and about by maybe 4 or 5 mil. It's a reasonable sized hole. As I was taking the monitor mount off of the back of the monitor in order to get ready for the next part of the review process, one of the metal washers slid inside the back of the monitor. And there was no way I was getting out. I couldn't find anything magnetic thin enough that I could get inside to kind of try and pull it out. So, like an absolute imbecile, I grabbed the screen, it's very heavy, flipped it upside down and was shaking it above my head, trying to see if I could get this washer to fall back out, which clearly it didn't, hence why you're getting this story. So I messaged MSI on Friday and said, basically, I got a small problem. I don't know how to proceed, whether you want me to try to disassemble the monitor and remove said object. I don't want to turn it on because it is a metal washer and I don't know where it is in the back of the monitor. It could be in the power supply. It could be touching something which is voltage sensitive. Monitors do carry some quite considerable voltages in the back of them. So yeah, so I've left the email with them to see what they want me to do, whether they want me to take it apart and see if I can get the washer out. I can't see any way of getting this screen apart. I did have a very quick look. I may even venture onto YouTube and see if there is actually a video showing how to take it apart, but I'm waiting to hear what they say because I don't want to break it, because I don't want to be like a couple of £100 down on them having to have a replacement monitor. It's not a great thing, so I've left it with them. Unfortunately, my two representatives at MSI UK are apparently both on holiday. Great, so no response there. The next part of the tribulation is regarding what we are going to be discussing tonight. Now, this is the MSI pre-built PC. To be specific, the MSI MPG Infinite Z3 9th Gen. That's quite a lot to remember. So they kindly sent over that as well to go with this whole kind of desk setup to kind of show viewers the ultimate MSI desk setup. And the PC is a lovely PC. It's a very high specification. It's got a RTX 5070 Ti, 16 gig. It's also got a Ryzen 9 9900X. So content creators PC. 2TB NVMe drive, PCI Express Gen 4x4, and also 32GB of DDR5 RAM at 5600 CL40. Not ideal, but it is what it is in this time frame. I got the PC out today because I was going to show it off in the stream to show you what it can do and how well it performs, only to be greeted by a Microsoft account in the name of MSI at MSI UK, and it was asking for a PIN or password, of which I have neither. So I messaged our colleagues at MSI once more, and they are still away on holiday. So yeah, that is why we are kind of where we are tonight. I did have many different things planned for this evening, but as of yesterday, yesterday afternoon, it all kind of just spiraled out of control. So my sincere apologies for not giving you what you deserve, but you'll be getting some of it. And I would like to discuss the whole premise of buying don't buy one of those. We're talking about the premise of, would you, or is it even viable or even sensible to buy a pre-built PC, maybe from MSI, in 2026? Because of, obviously, for those of you that have been living under a rock, we are currently in the possibly the deepest, murkiest part of the DRAM apocalypse. Apocalypse? I'm struggling with words tonight. The DRAM apocalypse, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better, which is somewhat worrying. And also, we're finding more and more YouTube content creators, especially the big names, seem to be making more and more videos about the RAM apocalypse and how it is affecting the marketplace in general, and also the wider marketplaces which rely on the gaming and computing industry. So yeah, it's not looking great. Things are getting more and more expensive, and yeah, it's not an ideal situation. So on tonight's stream, there will be multiple facets. We will be looking at the MSI PC. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do much with it because I can't actually get into it, and I don't really want to force the password off the machine, because I don't think that's a wise idea. I want to see how the machine is technically supposed to be from the factory, even though it's got a password on it, which is a little bit odd, but anyway. Also going to see if the pricing of this PC actually makes any sense, if we can do better, or if we can do something different which makes more sense. And yeah, that is kind of the premise. Is a pre-built PC a good idea? Now actually, I've got to say, I was thinking about this earlier on. I've only actually ever owned and kept one pre-built PC, and that was one that I bought actually for a YouTube video and got returned very shortly after. Some of you may remember it. That was back in the, I think it was possibly just pre-COVID, maybe just past it. I'm not entirely sure when, but there was a PC that I bought, and I think it was from someone like Game, and they were selling them online. Some really low spec, like crap computer, but I thought I'd give it a punt, and it was like it had like a A320 chipset, maybe like a 3200G CPU or something. It was not great, and I think it was only like £150 or something, which if you think about it now, £150 for a PC itself is pretty good anyway. But yeah, we had that. There were issues with it. I can't remember the exact issues, but essentially it ended up going back because it was not great. And yeah, I was interested to hear your stories of you lot watching. If you've ever bought a pre-built PC, who you bought it from, was it any good? Would you perhaps get another one? Or have you got to the point where now you know enough about computers and you've got enough information that you've gathered to go out and actually build a PC yourself and gather the parts up and actually make it much cheaper than it would be to buy a pre-built? Or do you just think, actually, I'm a little bit lazy, or can't be bothered, or I've got the money, I'm low on time, just there's the money, give me a built PC that I can just get home, plug in, and I'm off to the races? What do you prefer? I actually like the process of building a PC, as horrendous as it can be at times, and especially now with prices as they are, the enjoyment factor of building a PC is still there, I feel. But the enjoyment of actually sourcing the parts is possibly at an all-time low, unless you're just looking at maybe power supplies, cases, AIOs, and just coolers in general. All of those seem to be at really good rock bottom prices at the moment for obvious reasons. But motherboards, not too bad. A few motherboard deals out and about, those are pretty good, but obviously RAM, storage, graphics cards, it's pretty much a shit fest out there right now. Anyway, that is my monologue to begin with. Let's have a look through the chat and see what you lot are saying, and hopefully you are all good. Let's have a little scroll back up and see what people have been saying. Semrab says, Mike, you were home late from the pub and blaming the cats. I don't even know what time our pub locally closes, or opens for that matter.
You haven't been there since.
Yeah, I haven't been there since...
It's got to be early 90s.
What, drinking? As in, going
Well,
out?
we went there for a Sunday roast.
Yeah.
That was when we went to Burnmill Sea after.
God, yeah.
Before we had kids.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've been to a pub. O'Reilly says, you can't bore us, spill the tea. Okay. Matthew Day says, now you have more cats? No, we've had 6 ever since Poppy got pregnant and bestowed upon us Poppy, Candy, Otis and Dave. That made up the 6. John says, my cat is Siamese and he is innocent, I swear.
Maisie is part. Well, she's Balinese.
Yeah, Maisie is Balinese. Semrab says, we have local foxes that sometimes wander nearby, and if they are crying, geez, they're very loud. They are. Funny story, actually. A radio presenter that I used to listen to ages ago, Davey... can't think what his name is. Dave Schneider? I think that was his name. Used to be on like Coast to Coast AM and stuff like that, do like kind of spooky stories. But he actually got into, not a problem, but he got into a little bit of grief because they moved into a new area, him and his missus, and it was near some woods. And one night he could hear some screaming, really loud screaming. And he kind of opened the windows and had a look, and his missus could hear it as well, really loud screaming. So they called the police, the local police, because they like thought somebody's being raped or attacked or something in the woods. And they called out the police, they did a search, and basically it turned out it was foxes fighting. Well, technically not fighting, they were more of the kind of opposite of fighting. You kind of know what I mean there, don't you? But yeah, foxes were shagging and making an hell of a din, and yeah, Dave thought it was some woman being attacked in the woods. So they all had a good laugh about it after, but it did shake him up because he just moved into the area. He wasn't expecting it at all. And I don't think he was originally quite a city boy, so he moved out somewhere a little bit further out into the sticks. So he hadn't experienced that before. So
we're city.
That was kind of cool.
We experience it every night. But say about with last week when we took the cats for a walk down the lane, me and Angel, and then as we were walking back, there's Poppy, Candy, and 2 foxes in a little square.
Oh yeah, last week, Kath and Angel were taking the cats for a walk up and down the back lane. Like they like doing it for some reason. Well, the cats more so than Kath and Angel. And they come back, and there's the 2 of the youngest cats. Like they were in this kind of like weird square, and there was 2 foxes and the 2 cats, and they were all just basically kind of just walking around each other.
They were just sat there.
Oh, they just right, sorry. They just sat like in a 4 in a square, just kind of like, I don't know, checking each other out. Not fighting or nothing, just quite peaceful.
And then as soon as we got too close,
very strange.
Moved on.
Letter says, I've been getting ready to rebuild my bathroom as well as my entire sewer and water supply system. That sounds like a great deal of fun.
You should try it.
I'm not going to try it. Dutch Jan says, I'm not getting older, I'm just maturing. I would say I'm immaturing. Alan Wade says, my Danish / Swedish farm dogs could help you out with your cat problem, Mike. I bet they could. David Andrews says .177 pellet launched at 1,000 feet per second, aka air rifle pellet. That'll do it. Dak says our cats have microchips that operate the shore flap cat flap. We've kind of always liked the idea of that, but not the idea of the microchips themselves. But it is a great idea. Hello, Nicholas Barlow. How you doing? Cool Cat says, hey, Kath, Mike, Cats, and Stream Legends. Hello and welcome. Aletta says, sometimes I can hear Bigfoot cry out in the woods. God, that's quite terrifying. What does he sound like? Dak says, gas powered. What's that? The MPG? No, that's the strut. Gas powered strut in the monitor arm. Most of them are spring loaded, which is why they're cheap. If you get a proper decent gas one, they can be very strong and also very easy to maneuver as well, and require a lot less adjustment, and they don't kind of sag over time so much. The MSI one, actually, I should say as well, will support this gas strut thing is insane. So it will actually support up to a 49-inch ultra-wide monitor, which are super heavy, and it's also got a rated weight limit of 20 kilos. Like, I don't know if there is actually even a monitor, maybe even a TV that is 20 kilos. Especially modern stuff, it's so lightweight. Hello, Mark Gaines says hello, Mike, Kath, and everyone in the chats. Good evening, Mark. Welcome. Hey, Greg M, how are you doing? Someone's going through here. X Plastic Star X says ROG monitors for MSI mounts well. Well, the MSI mounts, technically they're VESA 75 or VESA 100 compatible. So really it's compatible with sort of any monitor and almost a lot of TVs as well. O'Reilly says, oh, shaking the monitor did not work. No, to be honest with you, I think that was probably my first, no, one of my mistakes. It wasn't the first or second, it was one of my mistakes in moving the washer so I couldn't actually physically see it anymore was the start of the problems, because previously with it led down I could just about peer inside the hole and I could see the metal washer reflecting light, because obviously it's bright like metal in a black background, so you kind of could see it there. I was like, oh, if only I had something like really thin but super magnetic, which I could just dab on there and try and get it out. It would have been like, remember that game when you were a kid called Operation? It would be very much like that, but with a magnetic stick rather than like a hook. I was gutted. I was pissed as well, and I was gutted. David Leonard says OLED stroke LCD have low voltage compared with old CRT monitors. Yeah, CRTs have got a lot more voltage than like the capacitors and what have you in the what's it called, the oh god, I can't think what it is. There's something in there which kind of increases the voltage massively, doesn't it? Like multiplies the voltage up to like, it's like 50,000 watts, 50,000 watts. It's basically something really powerful. But yeah, newer monitors are less dangerous. But still, I'm sure there would be something in there which it could potentially damage. I don't really want to do it.
Back to the tech questions. Do you recommend turning on or off VSync?
Who said that?
Wade.
It's a tech question. Do you recommend turning on or off VSync? I have a lot of different reviews on it and would respect your take. VSync is the kind of, it's kind of the lazy way, and it doesn't always work particularly well. It does its best at trying to match the monitor's refresh with the frame rate, but the thing is, most V-Sync monitors have a pretty limited range of what the V-Sync actually is. In terms of like the AMD, well, FreeSync, I suppose it would be. V-Sync and FreeSync are two different things, but V-Sync in itself is basically just making it so that your monitor is at a single refresh rate and hoping that your PC can either stay kind of pretty much close to that band. So say for instance, you've got a 165 hertz monitor. If you set it to V-Sync on, it will always be at 165 hertz. So as a downside, it's going to use much more power because obviously the monitor is constantly always trying to do 165 frames per second. Your PC also has to do that as well to stay in that kind of V-Sync range. If you use FreeSync, you've got a little bit more flexibility because it's anywhere between, I don't know, sort of 45 to, I don't know, whatever, in terms of response rate, depending on the monitor. So FreeSync is a little bit better because it can go at the highs and the lows. Generally, for gaming purposes and for a clearer, less smeary image, I am more of a fan of going into the actual graphics card driver or the control panel and just setting a static refresh rate and maybe set it a couple of FPS lower than your monitor's actual highest frame rate. So like if you go back to the 165 hertz, set it for like 160 or 150 or 155, something along that lines. So that way you're a little bit below what your monitor is capable of doing, but it's going to be rock solid steady and it's never going to sway around from that. I personally like to do that myself. It isn't always the best for power efficiency, but if you don't play games much, well, if you do play games more than anything, it's great, but because you're going to be using power anyway. But if you're mostly on your desktop doing kind of Word documents and internet browsing, watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, you're probably better off using V-Sync or FreeSync, just so that it can kind of be a bit more variable. Flyback transformer, thank you, Anon. That's what I was thinking of, the flyback. That's the one that carries the massive voltage. O'Reilly says a 20 kilo monitor arm. Yeah, the arm itself isn't 20 kilos, but it has a capacity of up to 20 kilos. The actual monitor arm itself, I think, is about 7 kilos. It's super well built. It is, I said in the review, the actual monitor arm, the clamps and all that, I've seen car parts which have been made worse, like more flimsy. It's super industrial, really, really strong.
And also, it was Flame's birthday yesterday.
Oh yeah, Flame's birthday was yesterday. He is now 14. Good guess. David says, maybe microchip the grey cat. An old Pentium shoved up its arse should do it. Dutch Jansen, I have 3 sofa cats here. Cool. Hey J Rich, how you doing? Dave is one fluffy cat. He's actually defluffed at the moment. He's a lot less fluffy than he was. Okie dokie, right. Rasher says, I think the best part of building a PC, building a new PC, is not only the actual building, but it's the choosing of parts and compatibility, reading reviews, etc. Yeah, it definitely is somewhat of its own kind of ecosystem in itself, isn't it? The whole thing of doing it. Oh, why is my thing not scrolling properly again? David Underhill says, my argument against pre-builts is not all components often are the best. Building my own, I can have 5 or more brands of internals depending on what is better quality or better value. Yeah, certainly. I think when it comes to some brands, especially brands that do like the majority of components, so people like MSI, people like Gigabyte, to some extent, I guess you could say Thermaltake. Obviously, there's going to be others as well. Asus, probably one of the big ones. I don't think ASRock do many pre-built PCs other than the kind of like the little mini form factor ones. But yeah, there is going to be, obviously, I would imagine there's a tendency for especially something like MSI, where they make motherboards, they make NVMe drives, they make graphics cards, they make RAM, they make cases, they make power supplies. Have I missed something here? Probably have. But yeah, they make most of the components in the PC. So you'd imagine when it comes to kind of speccing them up, they would be very tempted to try to use as much of their own stuff inside the PC as possible to avoid having to purchase in other items, which is totally understandable. The MSI PC, the one that we're discussing now, the Z3 Infinite, is, I wouldn't say surprising, but I was a little bit set back of how many components actually weren't MSI, where they could have been. Now, one of the components could be MSI, but with like this original OEM label on, so they just basically haven't put a sticker on it. That is possible, and that was the NVMe drive. The actual NVMe drive had very little information on it at all, other than it was made by Psion. So, but they make controllers, but that is how it reported to the system, as a Psion, what do they call it? Like a engineering sample. That's how it actually reported to the system, which I thought was really weird. But the Psion controller, which is actually in that drive, is the same as the Spatium M480, which is one of MSI's drives. So whether or not it just hasn't been labeled up as a Spatium branded drive, I honestly don't know. And the RAM was a weird one, because MSI do their own RAM. Not so much these days, obviously, but the RAM was actually from Team Group, and it was some Team Group Vulcan OC, I think it was. Which, yeah, I thought, well, why not use MSI RAM? The water cooler in there is MSI, the motherboard's MSI, the case is MSI, but weirdly, it's not a retail case. So it's really hard when you're kind of trying to compare like with like as well. When you're trying to price it up, it's like, well, that case doesn't exist. So they could be putting like a £200 charge on that case. Nobody knows, because it just doesn't exist as a retail purchase, which is actually a real shame, because the case itself, I actually quite like. It looks the part. It's a nice, solid, sturdy case. I really did like it, but you can't seem to buy one. Maybe when we get it out of the box a little bit later on, you can have a gander and see if any of you can find it online, because I would actually quite like to buy one, but it doesn't seem that it's one that they actually sell, or at least don't at the moment. Dak says, turn VSync off. Yeah, I would pretty much agree with that. Matthew Day says, NVIDIA VSync adaptive plus pin to max monitor frame rate, but allow unsync update below that. There you go. Lots of options to try. Billy Bob says, back in the day, monitors had a degauss button. I used to love the noise that made. It was a really weird, horrible kind of electric static sound. And you weren't supposed to do it very often, were you? But I kept on. Ding, 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 ding. Bit like the old guy in the wheelchair in Breaking Bad. Ding, 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 ding. It didn't do it very quickly, though, because it had to recharge. Dave Under says, flyback transformer can be as high as 25k volts or higher. Viali says, I haven't used VSync for donkey's years. To be honest with you, I get to the point now where, like, most of the components inside my PC that I use on a daily basis are quite decent. They're not like top of the range, but they're decent. So when it comes to kind of like the image clarity or quality, I don't really care. It just looks fine. Even if I put VSync on or set it as a static, realistically, I probably wouldn't notice a difference anyway. The refresh rate on my monitor is supposedly about like 1 millisecond, which clearly it isn't, because there's more latency between the monitor and the video card than there is that. But yeah, the impression is that it's supposed to be 1 millisecond. I guess it's probably closer to 5 or 6 realistically. But yeah, I don't think I really notice it. I couldn't like play a game and someone say, is VSync on or off? Without seeing an FPS counter, I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't. I don't really notice the clarity. And also, I quite often play a lot of my games now in medium settings, just to be more kind to the power supply and the graphics card. Stupid, really. Got a really nice graphics card, and I'm playing it like 1440p medium settings or low settings. But then, if you're playing competitive games, you don't really want all the eye candy on anyway. You want it to be as bland as possible so you can see things. But for some games, like storyline games, like Robocop Rogue City, that sort of thing, I probably will turn it up a little bit just to get some of that extra kind of dynamic lighting and stuff like that. But anyway, there you go. Why is my chat not updating? No, there we go. Roger says 90% of bowl men still own a comb. They just can't part with it. I don't own a comb, I don't think. Odinko or Odinko, I can't pronounce that. Good evening to you. What does EVGA make these days? Very little, if anything. I don't see EVGA stuff listed anywhere at all. I can't remember the last time I saw anything on sale. That's, yeah, no idea. Alan Wade, Mike, is it true that having a GPU working at 95% is normal? If it's in a game, it's not abnormal. Again, if you've got VSync turned on or some sort of frame limiter, then your graphics card probably won't hit 100% anyway. Some games are more CPU bound than GPU bound, so again, depends on that sort of balance. Some game engines are more GPU heavy than CPU heavy. So yeah, 95% I wouldn't be overly concerned with. If you've done some form of undervolting or anything along those lines, like tweaking the settings, those can all come into play. Without knowing the graphics card, the actual CPU and the kind of games that or the context, it's hard to say. Dave Aikens has never really noticed the problem with VSync, to be honest. I generally don't, to be honest. Like I said, it's half the time I'll just turn it on, or FreeSync, turn it on and just be done with it. Dark says Gigabyte, MSI and Asus have validated and released BIOS updates supporting CXMT based DDR5 modules, enabling speeds of up to 8200 megatransfers per second on AMD platforms. That is that's pretty good. That is a sign of the times. Corsair are now buying in RAM chips from CXMT, as are others. So yeah, it was going to be a thing. It was going to happen. What'd you say, Kath?
Angel's in.
Why is my chat not working properly? It's not refreshing. Let's see if I can do the F5 thing. Not break anything. That might have worked. Hey, Angel. How you doing? Hopefully you're enjoying your holiday. Angel and her boyfriend. I don't know if I should say his name because you may not want me to, but Angel and her boyfriend and George, our other son, other kid, child, they are currently holidaying in Sweden. So hopefully you're having a very nice time. My chat's not scrolling. It's broken. So yeah, hello Angel. David Thompson, when my nephew was little, he visited Legoland. He bought me a single brick and a Lego branded comb. I don't know why I got you that, because it got no hair. Cheeky monkey. Bless. David Under says 95% GPU utilization. I would be wondering why not 100%. Yeah, technically, like your graphics card should, or your CPU really, in the ideal world, both of them should be at 100% utilization, but sometimes not. Brennan says you can say his name. So Angel and Brennan. There you go.
child Grendel.
Oh. Matthew Day says if you don't limit frame rate, either CPU or GPU will run close to maxed. No worries. Matthew Day says VSync prevents update while drawing. VSync prevents update while drawing screen tearing, but hurts latency at lower frame rate. If you can make more frame rate than the monitor can use, then it stops the GPU thrashing frames you don't need. Yes, I think I get that. My brain's not quite on par. Is that chat finished now? I got to keep on scrolling up and then scrolling down. Oh no, I haven't. No, the chat ad ended there. Right, okay. I'm going to put the lights on because it's getting dark and I'm going to fall asleep. So let's have some lighting.
That's like I've been asleep for an hour and a half.
Yeah, Kath went to bed at 7 o'clock last night. That's how tired we're getting. It's just like, oh, can't cope. Must sleep.
It's the middle of the night.
Right, let's have a look at this PC. And you can let me know what you think about it. So MSI, is it going to come up straight away? No, it's not. Typical bastards. MSI MPG. Oh, there it is. MSI UK. Go to the local website. Well, I am in the local website, you pillar. Right, let's go to overview. We'll go to stream desktop. Hopefully that's showing. There we go. And, oh, actually, let's clear that as well for the screen. So there we go. This is the MPG Infinite Z3 9th gen, because they've done the Infinite Z3 for many years. Just they revise it. 9th gen. When I saw it first of all, I thought they meant 9th gen as in it's an Intel 9th gen. Especially when they said it's got a 990 CPU. It's like, wow, that's old. But anyway. So, oh, what is this shit? Get out of my face. So, yeah, there you go. Desktop PC, powered by AMD Ryzen 9000 series processors and RTX 50 series graphics cards. Built for gaming dominance. You can dominate. MSI's exclusive Silent Storm AI technology maintains optimal temperatures during intense gaming, making it perfect for dedicated gaming enthusiasts. Yeah, okay. So, comes with Windows 11 Home. Yeah, there's the some of the information about it. Let's have a look, see. So the AI engine thing is bullshit, so ignore that. 9000 series processor. The one that we've got is the 9900, but there's other versions available which do the 9900X 3D. So you can configure it somewhat. And it's RTX 5070 Ti or RTX 5080 are the choices when it comes to GPUs. Let's have a look at specifications. So specifications. AMD Ryzen 9 9900X, 4.4 gigahertz. See, that can't be the boost clock, surely. Anyway, 12 cores, so 24 threads, 120 watt TDP, 12 meg cache. Oh yeah, max turbo, that's a 5.6 gigahertz, so that's pretty tasty. Liquid cooling comes with a 360mm AIO. They deliberately put liquid cooling in here because if you look at the pictures, it's not entirely like obvious what you're going to get. So if you look at that picture there, you can see there's clearly two fans there, which would be for either a 240 or a 280mm AIO. But they're actually supplying them with 360mm AIOs now. So yeah, that is why they've given that as a bit of a kind of a catch-all, so they can just basically stick anything in there. The motherboard is a B850. Again, not really giving you much of an idea of what is actually going on inside there. Graphics card 16 gig, RTX 5080. There's also a version with the 5070 Ti. And memory size, you've got an option of 64 gigs or 32 gigs. The one we've got is a 32 gig version. The SSD, Gen 4x4. It tells you all the slots there, etc. The onboard audio is the usual kind of nonsense. The motherboard is a weird one because they don't specify what it is. Like with the power supply, they don't really say what it is, but from that spec you can kind of guesstimate what it's going to be. So if it's an 850 watt gold ATX power supply, it's a very, very strong chance it's going to be a GL 850 PCIe Gen 5. Now, I haven't actually opened up the back to see what power supply is in there, but it'd be interesting to see if that is the case. I'm pretty sure it is going to be. Any more information there which is useful? Not really. But the motherboard is the slightly more questionable one. We look at it in the gallery. It doesn't really show you the motherboard in any great detail, but you can see you've got a big sort of silvery heatsink there, and you've got one there. So if we look at MSI motherboards and see which ones would fit in with that kind of look, and the case itself, actually, I don't think it looks too bad at all. It's part mesh, part glass. So we've got glass down this side, and we've got mesh on this side. You've got a nice big kind of doorstep RGB on the front, which I actually quite like. And if you look at the I/O on the back, again, you can get a little bit of a sort of better idea of the actual layout and what possible motherboard it is. So we haven't really got the most elaborate setup here. You've got 4 USB 2.0s, you've got a 10 gig, a 5 gig, and 2 USB type Cs, which I think are both going to be 10 gig. But we'll need to investigate that a little bit further. So yeah, this is Viali says that is 2x32. This one is here, the specs they're listing, yes. The model, because this is a bit ambiguous, this is just MPG Infinite Z3 9th Gen, but there's about 5 or 6 different models available for this family. So they show like the better specs. Now I was hoping in the support page, if you go here, it might give you an idea of what BIOS is actually on the board or what it should have. But all it's got there is the BIOS version 1A70 and the BIOS release date being the 14th of May 2026. Now it says the file size is 13 megabytes, which is actually a little bit odd because most BIOS files are either kind of 16 meg, 32 meg, or 64 meg in the newest ones. So I was a little bit surprised to see it being as 13 megabytes, and I'm not too sure how it was when I extracted it, when I did download it. But the BIOS version there doesn't really give away much information about what the motherboard is. So let's open up another tab and let's look for MSI don't want that, do I? B850-P Wi-Fi, because this has Wi-Fi. Gaming Plus, no. Where's the -P? Come on, I said -P, you butthead. Much better. Okay. So, motherboard wise, that I would say looks very similar to what they're showing in the PC specs. Now I've actually looked in it and it does look identical. So you've got a big heatsink here, which you can't really see because the graphics card is in the way. You've got a single, single M.2 cooler at the top with a quick release mechanism, and you've got big heatsink there and there. And if we take a look at the gallery and we look at the rear I/O, that looks very, very similar to what we were seeing just now from the back of the PC, although they were showing this as being a black backplate to match in with the rest of the system, if I remember correctly. Go to the gallery, zoom in there. So yeah, if you take a look at that and then look at that, it's basically the same. The audio is the same, SpeedIF and 2 audio jacks, SpeedIF 2 audio jacks, Wi-Fi 7. This I think is Wi-Fi 6. So the Pro P Wi-Fi is actually a newer chipset for the Wi-Fi by the looks of it, because I don't think the Wi-Fi on this is yeah, Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth. Now, obviously, they could have upgraded it since this was done, so maybe newer models will get the upgraded speeds, possibly, if they're using this board. But other than that, I think that looks like the exact same thing. Viali says crap motherboard. What is crap about it? It's all right. Greg says, I hate that MSI repackages drivers and updates the dates on their support pages. Dates for BOS files do not reflect the BOS release dates of the file. Yes, I got it. Dave Aiken says, my motherboard, I got it for $79.99. They're currently going for about 140, if I recall. Let's have a look for shopping. Yeah, so 140 from Scan, obviously will be expensive there. CCL 109, oh no, that's not the same one, is it? Refurbished ones are even 122. 136 for the Pro P. There's a faulty used one for $79.99. So, yeah, you got a bargain there. John David Sullivan says, it's a fine motherboard. Tomahawk would have been better. Yeah, I think it would have been, yeah. A Tomahawk would have been better, certainly. Dutch Jan says, ugly. Okay, so let's go back to the main camera. Hello, welcome. I'm going to have a drink, actually. And what we'll do is now, based on the specs that we know, I've priced up this PC. So this PC, just in case we haven't actually clarified yet. Actually, where is it? Shop now. So if we go shop now, actually let's go back to the stream desktop. So hopefully, yes, you can see that. So there are the kind of versions available. So you've got the 5070 Ti, 2 terabytes, 32 gigs. You've got the same there. I don't know why they got, that's the same part number twice, but whatever. And you got that one there. So that's the 990 with the 5080. That's not rendered very well. And you got the same version there, again with the same graphics cards. So not showing that the X3D version is still available. But if we say, for instance, this one here or there, so Couriers have them in stock, both of them, obviously, because they're the same. Price wise, you can see the price there. So 2,800 of your UK pounds, which is well, you tell me in the chat, what is your initial gut reaction to that price? Sorry, I was drinking there. Sorry for the radio silence. Free next day delivery. Wow. I'd expect so for £2,800, which is a little bit on the high side. Matthew Day says, part picker, the same spec. Well, I'm glad you actually said that, because that is exactly what I've done. So let's fire up PC part picker. PC part picker. Oh, great, I'm not logged in. I will be shortly. Hiding my pin. Come in. My pin number is, well, it's a combination of 4 digits. Right, let's go to our, where are we? Microsoft in save parts list is what I want, isn't it? And it's going to be right at the bottom. There we go. Right, let's go back to stream desktop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's the one. Shame MSI wasn't that. So here are MSI MPG Infinite Z3 9th Gen parts list. So let me know if you actually agree or disagree with any of these components which I've got listed here. Again, it's done on basically what I could work out. So processor wise, that's a pretty easy one. So we're going to edit parts list. So CPU wise, Ryzen 9 9900X, there's a very simple one, prime next day delivery, £299.29. I don't think many people would argue with that price. That is pretty much what they are. When it came to the cooler, I struggled a little bit because I couldn't find one which was identical that was actually still available. So I went with what I could find as being possibly the cheapest of their range. So that was the MSI Core Liquid E360 in white. And if we just click on that, you can just about see, well, you can't see because that's bloody tiny, isn't it? But it is the same design. So it's got a round MSI logo and RGB around the outside edges. As far as I can tell, that is the exact same cooler, albeit in white rather than being in black. And the cheapest ones are £79.99, so 80 quid. Although some places, such as Clove and Newegg and CCL, a little bit more expensive, closer to 90, and then we got like nearly 120, and then we've got 140. So £79.99, although not exactly a great price for an AIO, is the best price that I could find for that particular one. So I think you'll agree that's fine. The motherboard, as we've said already, the MSI Pro B850P-Wi-Fi, currently £139.99, which, yeah, I think that is a pretty fair thing to say, that is a like for like. Who's what is the use case for the system? Well, whatever you want, really. You can use it for gaming, you can use it for video editing. It's yeah, a bit of anything, really. The RAM installed is this stuff here. So this is the T-Force Vulcan. Can't see what that says there. Vulcan, is that an A, an at sign, alpha? Vulcan Alpha? Oh yeah, it's got a Vulcan Alpha sign. So 32 gigs, DDR5, 5600 CL40. So that is the exact same kit that is currently in the system that we've got here. And at the moment, there's a very wide price discrepancy between them. So overclockers are selling those for £365, which is kind of a bit steep for DDR5, but it is what it is. Amazon are doing even worse at 140, so almost 100 quid more expensive. But that is like for like. Now the drive, like I said, I couldn't find. So I went with this, which is the MSI Spatium M480 Pro Play 2TB drive. PCI Express Gen 4x4. It's pretty much the same thing. Availability is available soon, so that's coming into stock in the next day or two. £234 at Amazon. Roughly at the moment, for 1TB drives, you're looking about 100 to 120. So a 2TB drive should be double that price, and that is pretty much bang on the money at £234. I think that's a fair price. Well, not a fair price, but it's a fair price for this drive in this kind of climate, even though ours isn't exactly the same. The graphics card. Now, I'm not entirely sure if it's the right graphics card or not, but it is a 5070 Ti 16 gig. It's a Shadow 3X, although I'm pretty sure, looking at it, it might be slightly different. I think it might be a Ventus that is in the PC itself. So let's see if we can find a Ventus. And we'll go Ventus. And we want 3X. OC. 5070 Ti. So I think that's pretty much the same price as what we had anyway. What we got there is Ventus. What's the difference in that one? So that is the same as that one's, just another seller. That's way too expensive. Anyway, over 1,000, well, nearly £1,100. So let's say this one instead. We'll add that, and actually, in fact, we've saved ourselves about £30 there. So that's actually quite useful. So let's remove that one, because it is definitely a Ventus 3X OC. The case is a really weird one. I couldn't find anything which was even remotely similar. That is kind of like the closest I can get to it.
A few days been looking, I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, it's a case, and yeah, it's got 4 fans in it. The one that we've got actually's only got 2 in the front and 1 in the back. But again, for this, I was actually really kind of being kind with this at £80, because clearly for £80 there's a lot of other options on the market, but I think realistically you could argue price wise £80 case isn't like unheard of. And when it comes to the power supply, I've got the MSI Mag A850GL. I'm pretty sure it is a GL. I don't think it's a GLS, the silent version, but we'll have a look in a minute when we take it out of the box and see exactly what is in there. Hooves, you're not playing at 1080p with that build, you'll be GPU bound. Okay. I'm not too sure what that is in context with, but this would be a 1080p, 1440p, even a 4K gaming machine quite easily. So I don't really know what the context is of that. If you're playing at 1080p with a 990X, a 9900X, you will be likely more, well, you won't be CPU bound, but yeah, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, Hooves. You're confusing me. Easily done. Anyway, and also as well, I was being generous and I've included a retail copy of Microsoft Windows 11 Home Retail on a USB stick, which actually you don't get. So probably actually isn't really fair to do that, but worst case scenario, I think these prices are quite kind of sensible prices for if we were trying to rebuild the same machine. And that gives us a total price of £2,255.51 Earth pence. So from that we are saving somewhere in the region of about £544, I would guess. Yeah, that's right. I think, yeah, £540 saving over the retail price. Now, something which I haven't included in the pricing of this is the fact that the PC comes with a 2-year return to base warranty. So that in itself is very much something that you can argue the context of in terms of its value. So with the PC warranty, obviously all the components inside of it are covered by MSI. Now again, we can argue whether or not MSI are any good at warranty stuff. In some countries they're going to be better than others. Regional differences are definitely going to be a thing. For me personally, whenever I've had to deal with any MSI RMAs, generally it's been a pretty reasonable experience, borderline good. I'm not going to say the same for claiming some of their other things, like when you're trying to claim vouchers and things, that is a real pain in the ass, although it has got better recently. But in terms of warranty wise, I would argue that they are as good as any, possibly even better than some, clearly worse than some, but I would argue they are okay. So a 2-year return to base warranty, if you were to add that into the price for PC, I would probably say if you're going to buy a warranty externally, now I know this because I used to sell them, you would be looking at approximately £100 plus per year for a proper warranty for your system. Now obviously if you're a big retailer or whatever, bulk things, you could buy them a lot cheaper through insurance brokers, etc. But arguably you could add on another £200 for the warranty. You may not like it, but realistically that's the sort of price that it would cost you, or at least that could be a cost factor, which then means so you're saving about £300. So £300 to build it yourself and source all the parts and make sure they work, against having it all built for you. I'm slightly on the fence. I am a skinflint, very much so. But if I don't have the time, but I've got some money, and I want a PC, and I don't want to faff around sourcing parts, and I don't really trust any of my friends to build it for me, I can see the temptation there. I don't know whether it would be the right product for me personally, but I can certainly understand where they get the pricing from. And clearly, they have to build it themselves. They have to ship it. It's a heavy PC. It's not going to be less than, I would say, 50 to 60 pounds in shipping costs alone for the PC. So I can sort of see where the price tag comes from. Although I must admit, when I first looked at it, without taking the full context of it and just looking at the ballpark figure, it did scare me. But then when I broke it down into the parts, the component parts, the warranty, the shipping, etc., which I know they say it's free shipping, but it's included somewhere. It's not a horrendous price. And I am very tempted, maybe in tonight's stream or maybe some other time, to actually see what else other kind of tier 1 providers can do for that sort of money for an equivalent spec. So I'm looking at the likes of Dell, maybe PCS, trying to think, PC Specialist, I guess. There's obviously some others. Oh, Scan, I suppose you could add into that as well. Then you've got obviously your lower tier ones like AWDIT, etc., which will probably come in probably a bit cheaper again because they're fighting for the business. But yeah, it's an interest to see. Yeah, like Logan says, they do need to make a profit. They definitely do. Viali says, my 9900X and RX 9070 is far better than the 5900X I had before. Dan Marr says, are pre-builds easier to resell than home-built ones? That is an interesting question. I would say, honestly, don't know. I've never had to do it, so I don't know. That is a very interesting question. I don't know. If any of you out there resell PCs and you've sold on some pre-builts, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. Spread the information. I honestly, no idea. And when I've looked for PCs for sale on Facebook Marketplace locally, not often that I see a pre-built PC. Mostly they're all custom-built ones. So I don't know what the used market is like. I would be under the assumption that arguably, if you were to build or to buy a pre-built PC on Facebook or eBay possibly, because of the nature of a pre-built PC, this is going into the psychology of it. So if you're someone who doesn't really understand PCs, how they work, but you want to play PC games or you want to do some video editing or whatever it is, if you don't want to go through the hassle of building it yourself and you don't trust anyone to do it for you, but you trust a business to sell you one at a reasonable price, then you'll buy a PC. So then when that PC no longer is of use to them, or they have used it for whatever need and they just want to get rid of it, that is when you go down to two very significant paths. So one path is the fact that the PC served its purpose, it's been paid for either by the person or a company or whatever, and they just want to get shot of it and get some money back. Then I would say it's going to be listed well below its market value because they don't really know about PCs. They would look at it online possibly and say, okay, it retails now for £2,800, let's say 1,400 quid. In which case it's kind of like a pretty good bargain. But on the other side of it, if it's someone who does actually know something about PCs, they will look at the individual parts, realize that memory, storage, graphics cards are going to increase in price, and maybe they would sell it for more. So I don't think there is a definite answer to, like, would a pre-built PC be more expensive to buy secondhand or would it be cheaper? I think it depends, which is a really copped out answer, but at least I've given you my thought process behind it. So hopefully you can get behind that as well. Matthew Day says, oh, Costco Cyberpower. Cyberpower, that's a good choice. 9800X3D 5080 for 2,549. Is that including VAT from Costco or is that ex-VAT? Got to be careful with things like Macro, Costco, and any of those online business-to-business retailers because they don't always show the VAT. Hoof says, video editing hands down, you want the 9900X. I did actually want a 9900X. That PC that MSI have kindly sent over for us to take a look at is actually like the perfect spec for me for video editing. But there's no way on God's green earth they're going to let me keep that. As much as it would be awesome. Greg says as well, pre-built PCs, quite often you got the things like proprietary power supplies and cases, and sometimes even motherboards. So yeah, you have to look out for that, especially with Dell PCs, HP as well. They're very well known for doing that. Hey Logan, how you doing? David Underhill says, trouble with pre-builds is people can find out what the new price was when it was new. Custom is harder for people to know the actual price. That's a very good point as well. Hooves says, buy a second-hand PC in this market at this stage. I do agree to some extent. I'm more cautious about buying a used PC now than ever because of the prices involved. Like years ago, if you bought a second-hand like 1 terabyte NVMe drive, it cost you what, I don't know, 30 quid, 40 quid maybe tops, because the new one's like 60. So 30 quid on a drive, if it turns out to be a dud and you bought it second-hand and you got no comeback, it's like, well, it's 30 quid. Yeah, it's a chunk of cash, but it's not the end of the world. Whereas now, if you're buying second-hand drives which are like 120 quid new for a 1 terabyte, or a used one for, I don't know, 80, 70, 60 even, that's a decent chunk of change. So I think you have to be a little bit more careful now, and maybe as well think about where or who you're buying it from. Amazon Warehouse is probably one of my first choices for used stuff. Then obviously eBay and our eBay bot, some really good stuff there. And obviously eBay generally will step in if there's any issues, much like the RAM that me and many others bought a couple of weeks ago, which was like £230, I think, for a decent kit of Corsair RGB RAM, which the seller decided after a few days that they would send it without any tracking, allegedly. Send it allegedly. There wasn't any tracking or tracking numbers or anything like that at all. And then they decided they were going to go on holiday for a month. Now, luckily, eBay stepped in and refunded the money, but still, it could have been a lot worse. Dutch Jan says, I hate all that AI bullshit. I agree. AI has destroyed the entire gaming and desktop PC market, and even the laptop market, and arguably even the mobile phone market. Possibly the entire electrics market. I only hope that for those of you that love using AI, that this is all worth it. Because I sure as fucking hell don't think it is. Sorry for the language, but I'm trying to hold it back here. I really am. It's just a nightmare. AI has killed a beloved industry and continues to kill it.
Not just that, is it? It's jobs and stuff.
And it's just, yeah, look at the amount of people that are losing jobs.
And books.
Just because you want to make a cat look like it's doing something funny on a video. It's a fucking disgrace. It really is. I don't like to get political about these things, but someone somewhere needs to step in and like pull the brakes, because it's just nuts.
I don't think anyone's going to say this.
Dak says, you're correct, Mike. AI is a billionaire Ponzi scheme. It's probably the largest wealth transference scheme that we've seen this decade.
I thought we already had one of those earlier.
We did. That's why I said it. Second. Who say Amazon and eBay have product insurance? Yes, they do. David Underhill says, I sell second-hand PCs, not buy them. Viali says, I only buy new NVMe drives, normally direct from Samsung or Samsung eBay store. I'll be honest with you, I've never been a big fan of Samsung drives. I don't know why. They're very good, and they are the most popular drives on the market by a massive margin. But I don't know, I've just never really been... I've never been a big fan of Samsung in general. I don't like their phones either. But I understand that they are extremely popular and lots of people like them, so I do get it. I'm on the right screen, yeah. Hoove says second-hand systems are much cheaper than the sum of individual parts.
Is that your phone burping?
Might be actually.
Anything we should be taking notice of?
Don't know. I should have a look. My phone is verping. No, because the kids are abroad, it's like trying to keep an eye on them.
Much as meant emails.
No, nothing. It's all good. Semrup says, if and when the AI bubble breaks, we will still lose because the pension companies will be reeling and ours rapidly decrease. Yeah, that's the thing. I know the money that they're using for all this stuff is basically just like virtual money, but virtual money becomes real money when it comes to the people who have to pay the bill at the end, which isn't going to be the companies. It's always going to be us.
Just like the old endowment mortgages.
Yeah. David Anders says, any item purchased here in Australia must have warranty. I soon educate dodgy dealers on Amazon and eBay of that info. Is that for businesses or is that for private individuals as well? I find it hard to believe that it would be the same for private individuals. In which case that would be a good scapegoat to just say, I'm a private individual. Right. Anyway, let's move on and let's take a look at this PC. I will now endeavour to take it out of the box. This is not going to be fun and potentially I may fart. So, onward and upward. Yeah, if you can guess the noise it's going to be before it comes out, you win a prize. Hey? Right, I have a big box here. Oh, sorry, headphone users. Or sorry, anybody with ears. This is not going to be the easiest of things to get out of this box, so I will endeavour to do my best. Actually, is there any incriminating addresses or anything on there? There's one there, but I don't think it's mine, so I'll leave that on. I don't care. Oh, no, that is mine. Shit. Shit. Ugh, that's been crossed out, I think. Who's that to? That's that's MSI's address, I think.
1812 Overshore, perhaps.
Nah, it might be actually, I don't know. Yeah, but I think it comes from something else. Right. There's the accessories box. Let's not get too excited. Yeah. Go on, Barb.
Barb.
Royal family, isn't it? Barb.
Jim Royal was that old tub, remember?
Yeah. Right. As you can see, it's got some very nice styrofoam padding on there to protect it. Somebody said in the chat there, the theme from Johnny Briggs. damn it. Just hit my overhead camera. Hit it a proper. Screw. Now, like I said, I can turn this on, but I can't actually log into it because, for those of you that join later, it's actually got a pin lock on the system. So, yeah, I can turn it on, but I can't really do much more than that. This comes with a nice case bag, MSI drawstring bag, which you could use to put Christmas presents in. Remember Christmas? That time when we used to buy PC stuff for each other, and we can't anymore. I have just noticed, actually, I will show this on camera because it's not my fault, I swear. Oh shit, electric shock. That hurt. That really did hurt. So this case has been seen a lot of action, and there is a big dent there, I've just noticed. Now that definitely wasn't me. Clearly someone at some point has dingling that bit there and there. Oh, and there's a screw holding that on, so let's undo the screw. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Cool. Come there. So there's 2 retaining screws in the side for transportation to stop the doors or the side coming off. So we'll quickly pull those out of the way. And actually, let's pull this back over towards me a little bit because it's a bit heavy. So the sides come off quite easily, and then hopefully I can get that dent out of there. Has that done it? Still a little bit of a... Yeah, that's fucked. Obviously, yours would not arrive like this. This is a review sample, which has seen a lot of action. So, in fact, if you did get one like this, then you could obviously claim for, well, claim some money back. So actually, in terms of cable management in the back, actually not too bad. Looks quite neat in there. And let's turn it around a little bit more so you can see what is going on there. So power supply wise, still not entirely sure what power supply that is, because it doesn't have any obvious markings on this side. So we might have to undo that to have a look. Not that it really makes much difference. I got the RGB lighting, etc., wired in through there, all tie down points. Yeah, it's quite neat. It actually has the capacity in this case for rear connect motherboards as well. But yeah, I don't know what this case is or the model or anything, but as you can see, it's not your usual cheapo case. It's actually like a proper sturdy thing, other than obviously the back panel, which has been slightly dented. Option on the side for some more fans there if you wanted to. There's a GPU brace there, which is for transit purposes. But yeah, overall in the back there, I think that's pretty tidy. Greg M. Greg M, so there is a pin on this system because of NDA, or is that how MSI rolls with their demo systems? I'm not entirely sure. I've got a sneaking suspicion it's just where somebody reinstalled it or re-imaged it at MSI HQ in England and basically put an MSI account on there. But it does say MSI UK when you try to... Yeah, that is definitely a shipping thing. Right, so front panel. Hey Netritz, thank you very much for your €10. Oh, Netritz says just a little something.
Scissors lights.
It does deserve lights, you're absolutely right. Give me a chance to sort out my mouse mat. And find where my, where is my...
It's on that screen behind you. Flying
Oh,
around it.
got it. There we go. Cheers, Netritz. Need Dr. Dent to roll those out. Yeah.
Buff out.
Will it buff? It might do. You never know. Okay, so the front panel, as you can see, it's quite nice actually. It's got a nice RGB thing there. You got glass on that side, mesh on that side. I would say that in terms of the actual kind of airflow there, this bit does come out. So you are going to get a little bit more air into the other side of the fans, which doesn't look apparent, but the fans are kind of recessed a little bit. Ideally, I would have liked for the front to be entirely mesh, but I guess they're trying to compete with two different markets. One where they like the glass, one that likes all mesh. So 50-50, it's a kind of a bit of everything. Let's move that round. Sorry if capturing the reflection, but whatever. Let's go to the overhead. Now that I've bumped it completely out of the way. Oh no, I've knackered that up. Damn. Right, there you can see there's the I/O. You've got the removable top filter. You've got your 3 fan bracket mountings there for the AIO. You've got a power button. You've got an RGB button or reset button. I think that'll probably be reset. You've got microphone, headset, a 5 gig USB, and also a USB Type-C. Shame there's not another USB, but I guess it's not the end of the world. And sorry, who was it? Chanko. I built my first PC. I'm concerned about UPS, which KS expensive or surge protector is enough. I don't know about saving files, more on protection. I would, if you can afford it, get a UPS. And in fact, I did list one today or yesterday, I think. No, today I think it was. There's a UPS available on on eBay UK, and it was £19.99, reduced from like 50-60 quid. Very lightweight one, but it should be absolutely fine. If not, you can pick up a reasonable one for around about sort of £60-70, which will do a fantastic job. Surge protector at minimum. UPS is ideal if you can. David Underhill says, the case is intended for 15-year-old teenagers trying to impress their friends. I will stick to more usable Lian Li cases for my builds. I wouldn't say this isn't usable. I think it's... I actually quite like the look of it. Shame it's been banged up a little bit in transit. I think the front panel looks quite nice. It's definitely a slightly more interesting look. There is something there. I can't quite work out what it is. Probably a spy cam. No, I'm joking. Right, having a look inside the case. So, styrofoam in terms of protection. Nice piece of glass, decent and pretty heavy. And this stuff here is horrendous. I hate it. It's right the first time you use it, but after a while it's just a pain to maneuver. So, what have we got inside? Well, there is the MSI motherboard that we talked about. Oh shit, we're on the wrong camera. I'm glad I didn't do that very well. So there is the inside of the PC. Let me try and get this lined up so you can get a better shot. Is that better? That'll do. So, full basement size or section. Nice little pass through there for passing through your power cables, which bizarrely they've actually decided to do it from the top rather than the bottom. I think I would have liked to have done that from the bottom, but I guess it depends on the individual. There's a massive graphics card anti-sag bracket been installed, which is actually pointless in this particular build because there is a metal bracket on this far side. You can just about see there, which bolts onto the end of the graphics card in the traditional sort of 3 fixing method. So that graphics card ain't going anywhere anyway. So that is a little bit of a pretty, well, an oversight really. Also, this bracket isn't ideal because if that little bit of rubber there goes too far in, I think that is gonna, yeah, that's gonna stop your GPU fan spinning altogether. So I'd be tempted to remove that. Not entirely necessary. So we've got the MSI AIO. Again, I'm not entirely sure what model it is, but if we tilt it down, you see it's got 3 ARGB fans on the top. You've got the ARGB around the pump section. And in fact, actually, let me fire it up. You can see what it's like when it's all lit up. Oh. This is the point where I think to myself, ah, yes, I had this bunch of cables out the other day because I was trying to do something. And then I just threw all the cables back in on top of the other cables. And now I cannot find a fecking thing. What was I was doing? I was doing a review of that bloody monitor, wasn't I? Come on, power cable. There we go. That's the badger. Hoover says MSI mag is budget. Yes, but this is a MPG, not a mag. It's not Arsenal gaming. This is performance gaming. Let's plug that in there. Hope nothing goes bang. Nope, it didn't. Good. Let's turn it on. No, it is on. Quickly give you a look at the front there so you can see what it looks like lit up on the front. So, yeah, I think it looks quite tasteful, really. I do like the ARGB step there at the bottom. That's quite good. There's a protective film on here, which I've left in that position. Obviously, it looks a lot nicer with it removed. I'm leaving that on for now. So yeah, 2 120s. Should they 120s or 140s? I'm not entirely sure. Actually, they might be 140s. Yeah, they might be 140s actually in the front. So yeah, you've got the fans, 2 fans in the front anyway. And on the inside, you have got the RGB illumination around the pump there. You've also got another RGB fan in the back and in the top. Looking at water. Rocking it around. Probably because it's been upside down. But yeah, you can see, so inside you've got the MSI GeForce RTX 5070 Ti, and that is the Ventus X3 OC version. There's a little bit of stuff there. The RAM, as I said a little bit earlier, T-Force Vulcan Omega, or whatever they wanted to call it. 2 times 16 gigs in here, so 32 gigs in total. The motherboard clearly is the MSI B850-P Pro Wi-Fi. I think that's very, very obvious. Although in the BIOS when I looked at it earlier, it doesn't say that. It just says like the model number. So it says MSI MPG Z3 9th Gen. Because it is part of the infinite range, and that is what the board is. So in terms of BIOS updates, I think for this one, you'd get your BIOS updates from the actual product page. You may well be able to flash the BIOS from the P, the dash P, onto it at some point. Really not my area of expertise. That'd be more of a lead farmer question. I'm sure it'd be possible. In terms of upgrades, you've got plenty of room there. So you've got more drive bays. You've got another 2 drive bays, I think, towards the bottom there. Strangely though, the M.2 drive, I'm not sure if you can even see it from that angle, but the M.2 drive is actually installed in that slot there with no heatsink on it at all. When there's a perfectly good PCI Express Gen 5 slot in the top with a quick release heatsink, which I would have thought would have made more sense to put it in there. But I guess there is a reason for it somewhere along the line. Not that I know what it is, but I guess there is a reason. But yeah, internally, overall, I think it's been put together quite nicely. The wiring is quite tidy. Personally, for me, I would have put the pump with the pipes of the tubes on the other side. Had it kind of angled around rather than this. This looks a little bit kinked. Especially if you kind of move that into the right position. It just doesn't look quite right there, I think, personally. Another reason they've probably done that as well is when they put the foam in there, that will kind of crushes those down. So those will probably slacken off a little bit. Seems to be quite quiet, although I'm not sure if you can hear it. Let me know in the comments section. Can you hear a kind of chirping from one of the fans? Because I'm pretty sure I can, and I think it's this one here. And actually, I will get my microphone. Is it a Gen 5 drive? No, it's Gen 4 drive, so it kind of doesn't make a difference not being in that slot, but I think it would have been nicer. So,
Do what someone else said.
Can you hear the chirping?
Out the SSD to boot the PC.
Yeah, but if I do that, I'm still going to have to install Windows and all the drivers, etc., which is a bit more than this stream would take. Again, it's 10 o'clock now. So can you hear the chirping? And I will... That should be gone. Now that has been extremely picky, but there is definitely a little bit of a noise coming from that fan. So again, this is an X demo sort of review PC. So again, it's had a few dings, a few knocks and bashes. No doubt whoever reviewed it last probably just shoved all of that back in there. Kath can hear it. I can definitely hear it here. It's a super annoying noise, especially in a quiet room. Yeah, doing that gets rid of it. It's basically silent. Yeah, that's a shame. So that is basically damage in transit. Again, if you had one of these brands making new out of the factory, then you are very unlikely to experience that. And if you did, you could send it back and you'd be well within your rights to do so. Yeah, I kind of guess that is really it. Let me see if that reset button is an reset button or whether it's an RGB button. Nope, it would appear that is a reset button. So, yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's reset, clearly, because the fans have ramped up again. But yeah, I think it's a pretty nice looking PC. I actually do like the look of the case. And I think if this case was actually available as a retail purchase, I would strongly consider having that and putting it up on the desk there. It's pretty quiet. It's not at the moment because it's not booted up, but it's yeah, it's not offensive, is it? And you've got plenty of room to work in. It's very solid, extremely solidly built. There is a downside though, he says, picking up the box. So this is your accessories box, which I did look for a pin number on here, but they haven't written it down. So in the accessories box is very meager. There is a power lead, which is kind of good. You get a spare SATA plug. You get your Wi-Fi antenna, another SATA plug. You get your MSI welcome guide thing, starter pack, not a lot in there. and some spare screws for the case. But there's no, well, they've actually included, that's the MSI protector for the graphics card, but there's no spare power supply connections or cables. So that leads me to wonder if the power supply is actually a modular one, or whether it's not. Actually, no, it's not. The power supply is not modular, and all the cables are actually bunched in the bottom. So it's actually arguably a worse power supply than I've initially had spec'd. Although it does feel quite a nice quality. But yeah, all the power cables are just bunched in at the bottom, and it is not modular. So it's a 850 watt bronze, 850 watt gold unit, but it isn't modular, which is a little bit of a shame. So we can take off some of our money from what we said earlier when we spec this up, because that does put a slightly different spin on things. So again, weirdly, MSI, who actually make power supplies, have opted not to use one of their own kind of off-the-shelf variants, which is a little bit bizarre. I don't quite understand why that would be. I'm guessing it's the kind of the obvious thing. It's going to be a cost saving. Anyway, let's put that to one side a minute. Let's have a look at the chat and see what you're all saying about this. Hello CMCB, how you doing? Anthony Paulus says, can't hear anything. Ordinary dude, did Calf hide a beeper somewhere in the house to mess with him? That's not such an unlikely thing to happen. Why is this not scrolling properly? The GPU cables look a bit disheveled. Yeah.
That reminds me, it's like the background sound in an American movie set at night.
Yeah,
like the crickets.
It sounds like crickets. The chirping is crickets, definitely. Yeah, 100% crickets.
Do you know what Otis stood on my keyboard just now? And he typed the word Des.
Did he?
Yeah. And then a load of other letters at the end. None left now, mate.
Dak says MSI PSUs are made by Channelwell Technologies. I think, I'm not sure if all of them are. I think a lot of them are. David says, good way for MSI to get rid of non-modular PSU stock. Yeah, I think so. Pre-built will always cheap out on something, says Chris. Yeah, I get, in this particular case, or this setup, I don't think it really makes a huge amount of difference. Because the fact that there is quite a lot of room in this case, it's a sizable tower. Actually stashing the cables in the bottom isn't really a problem. Like, modular cables really only came about because people just wanted it to be easier to cable manage. But when you've got a sizable GPU, a sizable PSU basement, it's not really that important. And if anything, it's actually easier because when you do come to need any of these cables, you know exactly where they're going to be. They're still in your PC rather than in some box which you threw out months ago. So that's not too bad. Somebody said about the PCI Express Gen 5. It's your hearing aids, Mike, says Bialy. Your mic is probably cancelling the noise out. It might well be, actually. Greg M says, this system is how much? Well, currently here in the UK, on Currys and Amazon, they are saying it's £2,799 and 90 pence, or 99 pence. So 2,800 for argument's sake. I have seen, although, on Amazon, one of these in a kind of Amazon resale. So basically someone's bought it, sent it back. They're selling this for 2,200, which actually for the kind of the savvy buyer, that might be the ideal way of doing it, because you still get your warranty, you still get your Amazon warranty as well, and easier returns. So you could order a used one, which is kind of used. It's still going to be all the same packaging because there's not really a lot you can lose. You can't lose the cables. you can't really lose much because there's not much in the terms of accessories. So as long as it's all there and works, you could get a massive bargain. Like you'd be saving, what's that? The best part of £600. So what that be is a percentage of 2,800. That'll be 40, about 20-ish% discount just for it being used. Not bad. Ordinary Dude says, nice looking PC. If the price is right, it would be adequate. Yeah, I think so. John says, Chris says a pre-built will always cheap out on something. John says everything else is good. Yeah, I think so. I think it's all right. Hoove says, yeah, 2,800 quid. Greg says that is a 5,300 Canadian dollar system. Jason's asking what CPU is installed. It is a Ryzen 9 9900X. Hoove says, no fucking way I'm paying that, never. Like we said, I'm not sure if you were in the chat when we actually spec'd it up in PC Part Picker, it's not a million miles out from where the kind of retail price would be if you actually went to buy the individual parts. And if you take into account the warranty and the shipping, that is kind of where it starts to balance out a little bit more. Netrix, I just don't like it. For that price, you can get something better. That is definitely a thing. And I'm sure that we will be doing a follow-up of this and actually looking at that value and seeing what we could actually build, which would be significantly better. The real problem with this is there are things here which aren't off the shelf, and it's really hard to put a price on them. Like the case itself is like, it's a proper sturdy case. It's not like the sort of stuff that you normally get. Like if you buy a normal MSI case, they're okay, but they're a little flimsy, much like all the others, like your Corsairs, your Thermal Takes, etc., etc. They are all a little bit on the flimsy side at times, but this is like proper solid steel, which I know doesn't mean a lot to many people, but in terms of like if businesses are buying this type of thing, longevity of the case and stuff like that is quite an important thing. CMCB says, that fan, I'm also sensitive to fan noise. It's a plague. It is. The DDR5 prices don't help, says Jason. That's very true. Chris says, huge case. I've never had a space for a system like that. Dolk says, grassroots PC builders would never buy a pre-built as it goes against the grain. That's going to be the thing as well, because this is kind of has its own MSRP, and the reality is these have been built and boxed up months ago. So there is going to become a point where, because of RAM prices going up and up and up and storage prices going up and up, it's then going to get to the point where it gradually crosses over. So at the moment, the price is kind of up here and the kind of the retail market is down here somewhere. But it's going to get to the point where obviously this is going to remain static because it's a preset MSRP for the stuff that's already built. And it's going to get to a point where retail is going to match it and possibly even overlap it. That is why the kind of the question at the start of the stream and also for the thumbnail is like, does it make sense to buy one in 2026? And I would argue at the moment, the 1st of August 2026, it probably doesn't. But in a couple of months' time, especially when the back to school thing happens and we start rolling into the holiday seasons, stocks are drying up. Prices are ramping up. At that point, this might even seem like a bargain, which seems really, really bizarre concept. But that is exactly the kind of thought process that I'm trying to get across to people, that pre-builds aren't necessarily kind of the devil's work. And at some point in the future, they may actually come to the point where they make sense and might even be helping us out, which seems even weirder to say. David says, I love the twin 170mm fans in my Lian Li case. I run them at 300 RPM and they are mega quiet. I actually took the fans out of my Lian Li 207, which were, I think they were 170, maybe 160mm, I'm not sure. And I actually replaced them with the Arctic 140s, the P14 Pro ARGB. And I really like them. They move a lot more air as well. My PC's never been cooler. Greg M says, back to school is already underway here. Oh, wow. The summer holidays have only just begun. Dutch Jan says, if the prices continue the way they are, manufacturers will go bankrupt. I think you're right. Greg says, sorry to say that some people here are finding it hard to even buy regular back-to-school supplies for their kids. Yeah, I do get it. Lian Li is the Ferrari of cases. I would somewhat agree. Very nice, but a little bit frustrating for a daily driver. Right, I'm going to turn this off because I think we've seen enough and I actually don't want to dent it any more than it is already. And I'm going to get static shock now. I'm good. If I press the power button, it should power off, I'm hoping. No, I think I've upset it now. Let's just fire it off. It's got that telltale noise of a decent power supply. You can hear the relay or a capacitor or whatever click off at the end. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the power supply being a non-modular. And actually on the second-hand market, non-modular is ideal because the amount of people that lose all the bloody wires for their power supplies is absolutely unbelievable. Steady on, flame. Right, let's put the side panels back on. Unless there's anything else anybody else wants to see inside of this thing. It's not particularly exciting. I am tempted to. Actually, I am. I'm gonna unscrew the power supply a minute and see what power supply it actually is. See if it's got any markings on it. I'm guessing it won't, but I am slightly intrigued now to see what model it actually is, and it will also help me with my research. I must say, this has been built very well. All the screws are done up nice and firmly and tightly. There's no loose motherboard screws or anything like that. I've already checked all that kind of stuff. Now, am I going to be able to get this out of here easily? Don't think I am. Oh, there's something on the side here. Ah, right. Place your bets now. I'm not sure if you can even see me. Yeah, I can. Place your bets now. What brand of power supply do you think this is actually in the case? I'm going to take a picture of it so you can see. And I'm almost going to guarantee that nobody is going to guess it. Actually, can I get a better shot? Oh, where's the bloody flash? You shithead. Flash auto, flash off, flash. I don't want flash auto. Oh, go on now. Not yet. Oh.
Don't blame me.
Right at the right time. Who was that? God damn it, Mark Gaines. Thank you for the £10 super chat. And actually has a question as well. Mike, I have two Alienware monitors, AW2521 HFA, and I can't find compatible VESA mounts for them. I'm pretty sure that's the same one as what our son's got. Copy. Let's have a quick look and I'll give you some time to paste your thoughts. 25 Alienware, right, okay.
Didn't you have to do, what was that, the VESA mount? Wasn't there something weird? Didn't you do a video?
Yeah, no, it is a slightly different one. Tech specs. It might not actually be VESA compatible. Some monitors actually aren't at all. Let's have a look at the features and design. Typical Dell site here, not very good. Yeah, I think due to the Alien FX lighting system, which they use, I don't think you can actually remove the leg or the back. I can see your guesses going in. Well done. That's right. Oh, all right, okay. User guide. Okay. So I'm looking here. It looks like it might be VESA 75. Stand riser. Yeah, it looks like if you take the stand off, you should be able to use a VESA mount. Sorry, as I look through, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Right, there's a VESA 100 mount on the back underneath the cover. So there's actually a cover that you have to release to get to it. Actually, if I change to Stream Desktop, there's the instruction, there's the back view. So what you need to do is take off this stand and remove that plastic cover. And if we zoom in a little bit there, there's your VESA mounting screws there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And apparently that is the VESA 100 standard. Yeah, there we go. Number 6, VESA mounting holes 100mm by 100mm behind the VESA cover. There you go, Mark. Answered your question. Hopefully. Right, what have people said about what power supply? Aldi, Rosewell, FSP, Ting Tong 500 watts, says Vitaly, EVGA, Corsair, Asus, Antec 650, Superflower says Rasher, will be CWT. Right, okay, I will show you the picture that I just took. No sleight of hand. I have no idea how well that's going to look on the screen. Can you see that? It is an FSP. So whoever guessed FSP, you get a gold star. And the model number is FSP 850-50AEC. And that gives out 70.83 amps on 12 volt rail, giving you 850 watts plus an extra 100 watts on the 3.3 and 5 volt rails. And it is indeed a 80 plus gold rated power supply. But yeah, unusual to see FSP in there, being that FSP isn't even one of their real partners. I guess they must be for something like this. I must say, when I started looking at this at the back, I recently did a review for the FSP Vita GM power supply, and I was looking at the grill on the back here, and that was what kind of come to mind, because they've got a slightly, I wouldn't say unusual, but there's a very distinct paint type that FSP use. It's not anything obvious, but it's a matte finish, and it's almost got a hint of grey or blue into it. So it never looks properly black, or even like matte black. It looks like a matte blue. And if I show you from the back, you probably understand it a little bit more. So you can see it's got that kind of almost like a grey blue sort of hue to it, which seems to be a very common thing for FSP power supplies. And if I grab my GM Vita, and I'll just double check that to confirm, because it could just be my mind playing tricks on me, because when you get to my age, well, it happens. But I want to see if the paint finish is very similar, because I think it is. Yes, there we go. So there you go. There's the Vita, the FSP Vita GM 1000. And if we take a look at the paint finish, see it's got that sort of hue to it. I don't know if it's very, very similar. It's probably not getting the very same angle there, but the kind of like the way that they've got the holes, the ventilation holes, and the layout itself in general, it just felt very FSP. Dave thought it was FSP, so there.
Do you think that, Dave?
So yeah, it's not an FSP Vita power supply in there, but it is a very similar model. Obviously lacking the 1000 watts and also the fully modular nature. But actually not a bad power supply. Weirdly, some people give FSP a real bad, like, hard time, but I've had nothing but good luck with FSP power supplies over the years. And also, looking at your laptop, you'll probably find if you've got a laptop which you've bought within the last, I don't know, 20 years, chances are your laptop or even your NAS will be an FSP power supply. Right, what's people saying there? Riley says, oh, Mark says, thanks, great, no worries, you're welcome. Riley says, that is very much like my electric monitors. The VESA 100 points are slightly recessed, making it a little bit harder to fit a VESA. Got you. JDS said FSP as well. Good for you. Semrab got it right. Well done. Crazy they didn't use their own, says JDS. I agree. Fracture's giving away the PC. Dak says that's been replaced. Do you think so? Dutch Chan says the paint has run out for the PSU as well. John Dean is asking, hiya, you know pins for power switch and power LED plus and minus? Go. Yeah, we've done videos on how to wire that up. If you head over to our Discord, which I'll put a link for now. Actually, no, I won't, because I didn't set up my stream deck before I started the stream. Yeah, Kath will do it for you now. Dak says, makes no sense for MSI to use FSP. Well, the thing is, a lot of MSI laptops use FSP power supplies as well, so I guess they are a partner in that industry, and also probably for, maybe for monitors as well. I'd have to look. It's been a while since I've seen an MSI monitor that actually had sorry, I went Jamaican there for a minute. They've actually had a standalone power supply. Oh, what's going on here now? I've gone inside the PC. That's it now. We are all good. Let's put the side panel on. It's actually well built as well. Like I said 1,000 times. Nice big latches as well to get the side panels and stuff on. I actually really do like this case. The more I'm playing with it, the more I like it. Said the blind man. Oh, I see pink on the screen. That's always a nice thing to see. As long as you're not on one of those adult sites. Oh, dear lady. Dear lordy, lordy. Jamaican again. Oh, dear. What is that? Oh, Rasher. Thank you, Rasher. €50. Wow. Thank you so much, Rasher. He says, I got my first Gamblers Anonymous meeting tomorrow. I rang him today to check the time. It's at fucking 10 to 1. Those who don't know, those are gambling odds. Very good. Thank you, Rasher. Very much appreciated. And that is a good one. Gamblers Anonymous. Autofocus is completely gone. Yeah, I know. It needs a big boldy heat to focus on, doesn't it? Right, let me get rid of this off the desk. There is somewhat of an art form of getting these things back into a box. And sadly,
You haven't figured it out yet.
I've not figured it out at all. You were. So it comes in the biggest MSI bag ever. Game Unlimited. I like how they say Game Unlimited, but it's got G-A-M-E rather than game is it one word. So I don't really understand what that means. I can just hear the static building up. If I had hair, it would be sticking on end right now. Which is the front? That is the front. So let's do the back first of all. Oh, that doesn't sound great. Did I leave something in there that I shouldn't have done? We now got more than one USB port. It's kind of split into two. Splitter difference. Stuck on there, isn't it? That's better. Right, push that bastard into there. There we go. Right, so drawstring first of all. Oosh. And oosh. Nice. And right, that is the, actually, where do I say the front was? On the bottom, so I don't need that one. I tell you what, they should definitely make this into like one of those GCSE subjects at school. Feet on there, that's that one there. I think I'm more paranoid about doing this right now because of the damage that it's already received. Because I don't want the damage to become any worse and me to get blamed for it. At least you can see me on the stream being a little bit cautious. David Underhill says FSP makes a lot of OEM PSUs. It definitely does. I would, like I said earlier, if you've got a NAS or something, there's almost 100% chance that your NAS power supply is made by FSP. They make so many power supplies. It's just ridiculous how many they make for the OEM. I forgot the what? Oh, balls. Shit. Ah! Well, it's not going back in there, bollocks.
You're doing it on the stream so they can see you've done it all nicely.
Yeah, I know.
Go put it back in.
But it's not going in a shipping container yet. I'm probably gonna have to get this out again to get the password and stuff in. Hand stuck. There we go.
Very good, isn't it? That one.
It's not very easy to put away, this one. It's not very turn on and offable.
Right, Dave.
Right, there we go. Actually, I better put some tape on that, haven't I? Caps and all. Oh, and the stream has crashed. Yeah. I got a snap message. Yeah. Right. Is there any chance you could drag that out, or should I do it?
You do it. Oh, I'll do it.
Thank you. Right. Hi. Cap as the co-director of Mike's Unboxing Limited. is currently moving the PC back out into the hallway. Director's prerogative. Right, I've just broken my stream. Not enough memory to open this space. How much memory is Chrome using? Oh, 4.1 gigs just for this tab. Nice.
The Windows 10 can cope with it.
Windows 10, shove it up your ass.
Well, mine never crashes.
Right.
To be fair.
Is that cleared? Yes, it has. Cool. Right, we're done.
Done, Dave. Done.
Thanks, Des. Oh, no. Yeah, washers on VESA brackets is a very common thing. Normally, generally, most of the time when you buy a monitor arm bracket or wall bracket, they generally come with a selection of screws and spacers. So depending on which ones you get, you should be okay. And actually, I do need to get a new one for this monitor up here, which drives me mad all the time because it's only got the, what do you call it? It's just like the legs bend like that from the wall. So you've got like the tilt, no, sway. I don't know, whatever. It does that and that, but I can't rotate it. So because when I mounted it, I must have mounted it like just a fraction of a millimeter off. As it swings round, it just increases the angle. So the whole screen is twisted a little bit down on one side and it drives me insane. Not insane enough to actually do anything about it, but there we go. Riley says, I was almost falling asleep to Mike's voice earlier, 20 minutes plus. I'm now fully awake with Mike's colourful words. Fuck! Thank you. Nice bag on that MSI pre-built PC. Dutch Jan asks a very relevant and very good question. Why doesn't MSI just use a case from their own line? Yeah, I don't understand. Hoof says I was an MSI case. No, it was an MSI case, but it's not a retail case. You can't buy it, or at least I can't find it for sale anywhere. So it's not a retail case. I think that's what Dutch Jan was saying. From their own retail line, I think he meant to say. Sinister Chef, how you doing, Sinister Chef? Says they have like 3 cases for pre-built that aren't available, just the case. Yeah, I might have to look into that a little bit closer.
Or Sinister Chef cooking tonight.
Yeah, Sinister Chef, what are you cooking tonight? Crypto says, Mike's Unboxing, new Virgin Media hack. Get a new contract in someone else's name. They wouldn't give us a deal, so I cancelled it in Mum's name, signed up my name. Also, did you see my post yesterday? Yeah, was that the post regarding the Virgin Media and getting it from, oh God, what was it? The deal, one of those deal sites, isn't it? I can't think what you called it. Uswitch. There's a Uswitch deal, and I think you were told that Virgin Media staff told you to use the Uswitch deal to get the best deal. If I must have quickly speed read through the posts, but I think that's the general gist. Gentleman Bad Boy says, Mike, speaking of MSI, have you seen the MSI Meg case? I want to say yes, but I'm going to look it up a minute. I think I know the one you mean. MSI Meg case. Is that the one with like the LCD screens and stuff? There's quite a few. There's the Meg Maestro Tower, and there's the Meg Prospect. So I'm not too sure. The Maestro 900R. You probably mean the 900R. Yeah, that does look pretty bananas, to be fair. I'm guessing that is not going to be cheap, because it's got gold stuff everywhere. Is it actual gold on there? And it's got a 75-degree angle, because why not? Yeah, that does look pretty pretty insane. That looks massive as well. The levitation aesthetic. I'm not too sure about the levitation thing though. I don't really get it. I'm guessing the right surroundings is probably pretty cool, but oh, and you can rotate the inside. 4-way rotatable tray for layout customization. Ugh, that's the worst thing ever. I hate it when a PC is not in the correct orientation.
They don't come together.
Oh yeah, it's just all kinds of wrong. But yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, that does look pretty insane. Up to 14 120mm fans. Jeez. Front I/O panel. Where's the coffee button? Surely it makes drinks. Yeah, that is pretty nuts. I would say I'll put that on my list of things to look at from MSI, but I don't think they'll send me one of those. I'm pretty sure they won't. Mark Gaines, Mike, what is your thoughts, I guess that means? What is your thoughts on the Corsair pre-built PCs? I think, like anything, like we've really discussed earlier on, there isn't really a bad PC. It's just the price that they're selling it for. From what I can tell, the Corsair pre-built PCs are very much a similar thing as MSI, where they are kind of roughly what you could pay for if you bought the parts. If you added on a few £100 for the warranty and shipping, it's within the ballpark. What I think the more the better value is, Corsair have got like a refurbished or resale site where they sell the same PCs just much cheaper, and they might have like the odd cosmetic mark on them, or some parts are missing, like it doesn't come with a keyboard or mouse, which isn't really the end of the world for a lot of people, and you can get some pretty spectacular bargains there. John says that's the latest meme now for cases. It does seem to be that way, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about that Meg case. I want to say that I'm a little bit more kind of, I'm not sure what the word is, a little bit more conservative. That's a little bit too over the top. Well, saying that, I still do love that case. The View 390 is still, my only doubt about it is the fact that I've got to undo 3 screws to take the glass off. I could really just leave the 3 screws out. It wouldn't make any difference, and it would be a lot easier. But I know I'll lose the screws if I don't leave them in there. So yeah, it's going to take a lot, I think, to replace the View 390. Yeah, MSI is a weird one. They don't really have any cases which I would be like, right, I need to buy that case because it's great. Dutch Jan says the expected price of the Meg Maestro 900R, $699. Mother of Jesus. O'Reilly says, I'm curious about the Meg Maestro case, but I don't think I'm inclined to have it. Yeah, I think I'm in the same way, actually.
In the same way, it's like you're pregnant.
I'm in the same way. Rasher says, after Mike's recommendations of MSI, I bought the X870E Ti Edge Wi-Fi motherboard. That's a cool board, actually. Paired with a white MSI Gaming Trio OC5070 Ti. I love the dragon logos. Yeah, they are pretty good. They are good. I do miss having, I do like MSI motherboards. I think they do make some of the best motherboards on the market. And the BIOS is actually quite easy to follow along with. Okay, right. As much as I hate to say it, I think I have pretty much exhausted the conversation for tonight, unless there is any questions. But Dutch Jan, what's that? Oh, I've already said that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else that I can talk about which would be of any real interest. I'd love to be able to come to you and say I found some really good deals on DDR memory or RAM or SDs, not SDs, NVMe drives, M.2 drives, but at the moment it's not looking great at all. I have actually done the review for the drives that Arali sent over. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. Was it might be 2, might be 3 weeks. I've actually finally got around to doing a review on these. Very good. Doogie Rev, as they say. Doogie Rev indeed. Doogie Rev. Actually, if anyone knows where the phrase Doogie Rev came from and what it relates to, extra bonus points in the chat if you know where that come from. You'd need to be old or into retro TV programs to work that out. But yeah, this is yeah, it's a pretty good drive. It does pretty much live up to the characteristics. It says on the drive box that it does up to 7,422 megabytes per second. The read speed, I managed to get 7,300 and change. So a little bit off the ratings there, but I am using things on the PC such as, what's the thing where it runs in a virtual memory space? I can't think what they call it now. It's part of Windows security thing. Basically runs the processes in another part of RAM, which does have a little bit of an effect on the system overall, but in general, yeah, these work pretty much as expected, and I was actually very impressed. And they seem to be using the same controllers and NAND as the Kingston NV3 and a couple of other drives. I did list it in the video when I've done it, so you can see it's basically the same as some other kind of slightly off-brand drives. So yeah, if you are considering getting any M.2 storage and you're looking out for deals, these from the brand 6, yeah, seem to be pretty good. And thanks also to, I think it might have been Dutch Jan, who posted the link for the website, which I've now added to the video, because I couldn't find 6's website for some reason, just couldn't come up with it. So I think it was Dutch Jan, it might have been somebody else, but whoever it did, thank you very much. And David Thompson, yes, correct, the adventure game. Doogie Rev, Doogie Rev. There was a bloke on the adventure game, which he always talked in reverse. So Doogie Rev means very good backwards.
Signing custom.
I'm not doing those. Sinister Chef says the Gaming Trio is probably my favourite looking GPU of the 50 series. Yeah, I do. Gaming Trio cards are awesome from MSI. MSI do make some really nice stuff. Dak says MSI warranty does not cover failures of third-party power supply units, PSUs in pre-built systems. Interesting. That is interesting. Right. I think that is pretty much it. Thank you all for joining us on this Saturday evening. And thank you all for your kindness and generosity, those of you that have donated. And for those of you that are members, thank you so much. And Patreons, etc. You all certainly do help keep the lights on, quite literally, especially at the moment. We've been trying to release a few extra videos a week now to try and get the numbers back up a little bit. If you can share the videos, that would be massively appreciated. Try and get the viewing figures up a little bit. It's that time of year, so it always looks a little bit crap. And it doesn't help with Sam Altman destroying the industry. But having said that, we live to fight another day. It'll soon be Christmas, and in 3 or 4 years' time, it'll all be back to normal. Awesome stuff. In the meantime, if you want to get some bargains or potential bargains, you can head over to our Discord and look in the eBay bargains bot. There's been some pretty decent deals in there recently. Actually, weirdly, yesterday there was like about 30 NVMe drives which were listed like consecutively. My buzzer was going ding, 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 ding as they just flooded the screen. So if you are looking for some drives, especially some lower capacity ones, might be worth checking out the Discord bot Also, the bargains no chat, posted a few deals in there myself this morning, or yesterday morning, or this morning, I can't remember. Every day I post them in there, there's loads in there. And thank you to everyone else who posts them in there as well. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you with a new fresh video on Monday morning. For those of you that are interested, probably try and get on Discord a little bit later on, so if you are about, feel free to say hello. But otherwise, yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Have a great weekend, and I've got to now try and work out how to turn this off, because that's not going to work, is it? No, because I didn't program it earlier. Douche. I have to click on end stream now. Right. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks again. Catch you later. Bye.